I think by the time it came around, I wasn't actually that nervous. I think the anticipation had built up over the summer. I've almost like at the start of the summer, I kind of knew I was still sorting out plans, so I was still kind of working out where I was going to be, where I was living. So at that point, I was nervous. But when I actually got to flying over into Germany for middle of September, whenever it was, I actually wasn't that nervous by the end of it. I was just kind of ready to get on with it, and kind of I was just genuinely looking forward to it. There was no apprehension. I was just ready to kind of get started, to be honest. So I spent my year half and half in Germany and France, and I chose to work in both places. I worked as part of the British Council in Germany as an English language assistant in a secondary school, and in France I worked as a marketing intern in a sports company in France, which was great. Really enjoyed it. I think you can do either one. The risk that I kind of saw before when planning my year abroad was that I didn't want to be surrounded by English-speaking people, and actually wanted to try and really immerse myself in both languages. Having said that, teaching English in a school obviously means you'll speak English all the time, but there's still plenty of opportunities to speak German with the teachers, and also just really immerse yourself in the town you're around. And the good thing about being an English language assistant is you have so much spare time. You can take time out to travel around the country, to travel with teachers, with friends, and I really enjoyed that part of it. So for me, working was a massive advantage, because also you gain not only professional skills, but you can kind of use your language in a different way. You learn to speak in a different way than you would normally, but also developing that kind of like communication skills, like with friends and with workers as well. But yeah. I struggled quite a lot actually. In Germany it wasn't so bad because the school community were really welcoming. The teachers were fantastic. They kind of invited me to everything they had, to whether it be to kind of walks, like kind of little day trips out to I don't know. There was one we went to a concentration camp, which was really interesting, but also just other things. I did a school trip with them, and I went skiing with them for a week, which was also, it was just an awesome week. In France, however, it was much more difficult. I only knew one other English speaker there who I could kind of get on with really well, but working a 9 to 5 job, found it quite difficult to kind of make time in my week, because especially the first month when I got there, essentially I was just absolutely exhausted after my day of work. So that's quite a hard adjustment to make. But as long as you kind of force yourself to go out there and kind of get into some Erasmus groups, especially in big cities, they're everywhere. You can find time to meet people there really easily. So as long as you do that, you should be okay. But it can be quite difficult at times and challenging. So that's something you just kind of have to embrace.
Is there any item you wish you brought with you before you went?
I felt pretty prepared in terms of what I took with me. I think right amount of clothes, right? I mean, don't take too much, don't take too little. Obviously, most of the stuff especially in mainland Europe, which is where I was, you can always find stuff to get if you really are in trouble. But I felt pretty prepared when I went over. For the most part, no, but definitely one or two regrets, just because when I moved to Germany, I chose to live with a host family instead of living on my own or with other students, because I didn't really know anyone when I was moving there. So yeah, I moved into a host family. I lived with them for 6 months, and what was weird about that was it was basically like I was back at home, like for GCSEs. I was with a family, and it felt like I had a curfew. Like I had to cook myself in their kitchen. Wasn't really sure how it would work. I didn't want to come home late and wake everyone up, so it did feel a bit restrictive in that sense. So if I had a piece of advice on that front, I would try to avoid kind of maybe making decisions like in terms. So I chose to do that because I knew it was cheap and I knew it'd be sorted when I got there. So it was for comfort and peace of mind. But part of the year abroad is knowing that you're going to be in situations that you don't quite know how to deal with, and you have to kind of take something off the cuff really. And sometimes that's actually better, getting there and figuring it out for yourself and putting yourself in a situation you're not comfortable with, because you will find a way through it. So I would kind of really reckon not doing that. I mean, some families would be great, so I wouldn't worry about it, but it was a bit, I don't know, I found it a bit difficult myself. No, not really. Your language kind of improves gradually as you go, so don't feel pressured to know certain things or have understood before you go. You'll pick it up as you go. very slowly. It took me ages to get back into the student lifestyle again, just because when you're working, you're so used to having a very structured routine. You know, you're in at 8:30 and finishing at 5:30, and that is your working day. Whereas in a kind of a student environment, you have much more free time during the day, and you have to obviously restructure stuff. But you get there, you just have to kind of just get back into the swing of things once you actually settle back, living with your housemates again that you knew from second year, stuff like that, and that's quite nice. So you settle in that way. I think once you see the people you used to see every day, it starts to feel more normal. I think I missed probably the freedom, actually. I think what I really liked, especially in Germany, was just having the freedom to do really what I wanted with my day. And I could kind of really make the most of the experience the way I wanted it to. So I tried to travel as much as I could. I did sports when I could. I tried to just completely immerse myself, and the ability to kind of, and that kind of possibility to just look around and kind of just take things as it comes, and kind of just, you don't know what's going to come next day, one day to the next. It's quite fresh, really. It's quite a nice experience, and that's one thing I do miss for sure. I think the biggest thing I would recommend is actually don't say no. You'll get a lot of opportunities in your boards. People will come up to you and say, "Oh, would you like to kind of take part in this?" Especially if you're working in a company and if you're working in a school, stuff like that. But you'll always get someone come up to you and say, "Why do you fancy coming with us to do this or helping out with this class?" I would just try and say yes as much as you can. You'll find some of it will be hard and some of it will be easy, but at the end of the day, you'll gain something new from each different experience. And I really recommend just really throwing yourself in the deep end and just seeing how you get on, really.
Great advice. Cheers.
Nice.
Alright, that was the best one so far, I'd say. Sorry, Natalia.